Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Generation W. That's what I like to say. Welcome. And we're today is a special day of refresh. Of course, for me, every day is a special day of refresh. It's a time to connect, to be inspired, to learn something new, and ultimately just feel a bit better about ourselves and this time we spent together. How is everyone? Yes, every week I say that. I'm always like, I want to hear everybody say, yeah, we're great. Edna, how are you? Anyway, it's been said that a mom's work is never done. Well, anybody relate to that? I know I totally agree. Yes, I'm a mom, so of course I agree with that. Work is never done, but a mom's work's never done. I suppose in some ways that's what we signed up for, right? There are no motherhood manuals per se. If your child said this, you do this. If your teen does this, you do this. Like there's no magical elixir here. We all learn as we go. That's what the game of life, the sport of life, that's what life is all about. There's lots of books, of course. And while often I have said, why didn't they tell me this? And they, like, who's the they? Realizing that they may have told me, but I probably wasn't ready to hear it. Every stage of life, both ours and our kids, are inextricably intertwined. It's like we run parallel paths, learning together, learning apart. And there's such beauty and joy in all of that. And thankfully, that beauty and joy balances, yes, the pressures, the tense moments, the challenges. We got to celebrate Mother's Day, and I've come to really appreciate Mother's Day just a few days ago. And it happens to be the first one ever without my kids. They're both away. But I had my mom and I had my sister, and it was nice to focus on her, the miracle that my mom is. The questions about whether she was a good enough parent to me continue even to this day. And it reminds me, and perhaps as I share it with you, the questions that we all have about whether we're good enough moms. But mom, I just want to tell you, I hope you're watching. You are an amazing mom. And speaking of amazing moms, today we're joined by several amazing moms who have been intentional in contributing to the momosphere. I don't know, Brooke, Kimberly, have you ever heard that word before? Because I just don't know if I totally made it up. The momosphere, the place
No, I
where
just wrote it
like
down.
it's a good one, right? The
It's a
place
good
where lessons, right, are learned and can be shared. So let me just introduce you to these amazing women. Following the retirement of legendary head coach Sue Semero, Brooke Wyckoff was officially named the head basketball coach of Florida State's women in March of 2022. That is a big, big deal. In her two highly successful first years at the helm, the Noles went 46-21 and made three NCAA postseason. So like that was incredible. And of course, everything we are reading and hearing about women's basketball today, Brooke is truly one of those pioneers because I knew Brooke. She was one of the WNBA players. I like to say she was one of my WNBA players. But since then, she's a mom to a 10-year-old daughter and started a blog and a podcast, Moms in Coaching. She likes to say we encourage one another to win at home and on the court. She's also a breast cancer survivor who pushed through it even during the toughest times. She definitely personifies the word champion as we think about that.
Mhm.
And then there's Kimberly Padgett Morrison. She's an award-winning marketer, fashion stylist. We have to get her into the office, I think, Katrina. Public speaker and author. Her first book, Crisp White Shirt. By the way, did you notice I was wearing a crisp white shirt today?
I did.
I love this. It's a coming of age. It's a coming of middle age story. I read that. I read it again. I read it again. Each time it brings such a joyful smile to my face. It embraces a life lived with style, standards, and etiquette as the foundation. She's got two young adult children, and Kimberly looks at the changes in motherhood as occurring in three stages. Anybody want to guess what they are? Morning, noon, and night. I'm so grateful that you are both here. In addition, we have our producer, Sherry Levin. Sherry's going to come behind the curtain. She's the mother to the amazing Marsha. And our lead communication person, marketing, Katrina Parker, who's the mother of four daughters. And they'll join us as a conversation evolves. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to just jump right in here, Kimberly. All right.
Sure.
Changing in motherhood occurring in three stages, morning, noon, and night. I don't know exactly what that says, but I understand totally what it says.
Yeah, it never stops. It's cyclical,
Right,
right? It's
right.
all these different stages. I couldn't think of Oh, I love when they were babies, or I love when it's just morning, noon, and night. It's that cyclical stage. I mean, you go through pregnancy, giving birth, the first tooth, and, failed relationships, and, broken hearts. And now my kids are adults. So it's different things. It's life and, careers and, who am I? And, it's just a lot, but it never stops. And I think right now, too, my kids and I, it's more of a give and take, is how I describe it. Before, in early stages of motherhood, it was me giving, 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 because it was, they were at that stage. But now they actually give back to me, which is a wonderful part of life, that they now nurture me. They now call me and say, "Hey mom, how are you?" So I love this stage, but it doesn't negate the other ones. Morning, noon, and night is all the time, but it's an all the time gift for me. It's an all the time joy.
But that's great. And for all of our people who are with us today, hello, everybody. Please feel free to share your morning, noon, and night stories. Brooke, you have the kind of job that is morning, noon, and night. And now you're going to pair that with a morning, noon, and night responsibility and your beautiful daughter, Avery. Tell me how you make that all work. Tell us all, actually.
Well, I think it's like it's all of us who just parent and also have a career, and you need a village, you need help, you need people that you can rely on, you need actual family, and you need adopted family, you need you need trusted friends, trusted partners. That's what it's been for me. And I was a single mom when I had my daughter, and so it really was relying heavily on not family. I didn't have any family here, a biological family in the area, but luckily I found people that have now become family, that cared and loved my daughter and cared about her and helped nurture her. And so she's becoming more and more independent now at the age of 10, but still needs a lot of love and care. And so I'm so grateful for the village that we have around her, that is helping shape and mold her into who she is and helping me along the way.
You came up with this idea. Both of you have written books, if you will, but you came up with this idea of moms in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
What was the genesis of that?
It really came out of a selfish desire for support in our field of college coaching, but also we've expanded it to high school, and there's a lot of professional coaching now in WNBA and NBA, moms coaching on that level as well. So when I was pregnant and we're on the road in July recruiting a lot, I was 5 months pregnant and really wondering, how the heck am I going to do this? I had not seen it modeled on my own staff at Florida State, and really didn't know moms in the field, but personally. We're out on the road recruiting with seeing all these moms, and I start to tell people that I'm pregnant, and out of the woodwork, to me, I hadn't thought about being a mom before, but to me, out of the woodwork came all these women that had kids, multiple kids of all ages, and they're coaching that I never knew about. I'm like, why don't we know that all these moms are out there doing this? And so I created this group called Moms in Coaching for support, but also to get the message out there to women, younger women that maybe hadn't had kids yet or thinking about it, and just the world in general. Hey, everyone, there's all these women coaching, doing a fantastic job. And guess what? They're also moms taking care of kids behind the scenes that you don't see when they're coaching games or on the road recruiting. So it's a support group.
And you say it's selfish, but really very unselfish in a way, because most women want to say, I think the question I get wherever I travel, speak, they always want to know about work-life balance, or how do I do it all? And I know, Kimberly, you say your kids are older now, but you have been a working woman for most of your career. And
Yes.
how do you make it work? What was your secret to success?
Just like Brooke said, you have to have a village. I mean, you just cannot do it by yourself. My husband was in the Navy for most of his career. So that was always my village, because we lived all over the world. So I would go to places like Japan and Portugal and all these different places. I knew no one, but I had to take down my inhibitions from being this little Southern girl who depended on my small circle and just know that God had me and I can depend on a larger circle. But I needed people. I didn't know how to feed a little baby. I didn't know how to, I didn't know what breastfeeding was like and all of that stuff. So I just depended on that circle, and it takes a lot of courage. It was fearful because I didn't know these folks. And you guys know that from being athletes. You traveled around the world and had to come in contact with all these unknowns, different language, different cultures. So I just leaned in, and my children are better for it.
Yeah, well, I have to just say though, not to be glib, but different language and different cultures. I find that going around Jacksonville, Florida as well, right?
But you're
Well,
right.
we all tend to find comfort in what we know. And I think the beauty of the world is reaching out beyond what we know and creating those beautiful, beautiful bonds, right? That create, right, the new things that we know. It's what we try to teach our WOW girls. So it's funny, all of a sudden, as we're talking about moms, I kind of feel that kind of motherhood relationship to our WOW girls. Sherry, you actually were a coach as well, but you had a question.
Yeah, so I think the coaching world, you're very lucky, and Brooke and Kimberly can probably add on to this, and Donna, you as well. In our fields, we were able to bring our children, right? So my daughter I would have my practice plan, and my daughter, when she was 6, would write her own practice plan, and she'd have a practice bag, and she learned and picked up things. Sometimes they came out in like the oddest ways. And Brooke, I know you were talking about last night's game and how your daughter was analyzing it as a 10-year-old, right? So what positives, like, because we're very fortunate that we could bring our kids, and Donna, I know with your sons, we're able to go to WNBA and to W and all these events. So what positive things do you think that your kids got from you in your career so that it was a very positive for them? So we'll start, Brooke.
Yeah. So that's a great point, Sherry. And that was one of when we were having a moms and coaching get together, we talked about that, and I'll never forget one of my good friends in coaching who has 4 kids. And she's been a head coach, she's an assistant coach, talking about, she obviously missed a lot of things, because of the job, missed a lot of things, but she said, our kids have gotten experiences that we never got as kids, or so many kids right now aren't getting. The ability to travel at times to I took my daughter last year. We went on a foreign tour with the team to Greece and Croatia. She came with us. Being able to take my child and just be around these amazing women that I coach, her being able to be up close and personal, to watch them do something that they love, to watch them on the court, see that up close, is an experience that I didn't have growing up, and so those are the things I think about that encourage me when I have to make sacrifices to be away from her, or when I'm working. She's getting so much out of this experience that's going to help her, grow as a person and in her life experience.
Right. And what's interesting, I'm just realizing as I'm looking at all of your beautiful faces, Katrina has also coaches. She's a volleyball coach,
Yes.
as she works with us as well. And so she has a real good sense about being moms and coaches. And that wasn't the theme, Kimberly, just so you know.
Yeah,
These kinds of things
Oh no, you're
involve.
good. I'm enjoying this. This is so awesome.
You know what I mean? Who just posted this great? Oh, Tiffany said, sometimes I wish there were a phone number to call to reach the village. What is Tiffany really saying? She wishes there's a way, right, that we can connect with each other, like a hotline, mom hotline. What do you think about this? Yeah. And it's funny. Tiffany, I can totally relate. I had a question the other day that a friend of mine called. It was like a mom hotline. Hey, my kid wants to do this, but we wanted to, what do you think? And I'm like, I wish I found somebody who had some experience with that. Maybe that should be one of our next generation mom projects. I don't know.
You could jump on refresh.
Oh, true.
Tiffany, you're here. You're part. That's exactly right. You're part of the village. Generation W is your village. And let me just say hi to Lori Day. It is so great to have you. Lori generously steps up and is the chair and president of the Florida Women's Organization in Florida. And there's Lydia Thatcher, and I want to say hello to her. And wait, Paul McFadden. Paul, it's great to see you. Paul's with one of our great partners of ours. He might be friends with all of you as well. We consider him a friend. So Kimberly, let me go back to you
Yes.
and say, because we're focused on women at work. I know there's moms who are home who probably have the same kind of parenting issues, but moms in work seem to deliver us a gift. And that is this 5-letter word, called guilt. Have you ever felt it? It doesn't ever go away.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys talked about being athletes and being in sports, how you're able to take your children with you. Corporate America is a different energy. There are no kids in my office, right? There is not a lot of grace for being a mom in corporate America. So I've made a lot of professional, I wouldn't say sacrifices, but professional adjustments to make sure that I can be a better mom. But there's guilt. There's always guilt. Early in my career, I traveled a lot, but I had to leave my daughter with someone as a family member, but there was still this guilt. It was like, why am I doing this? Is it worth it? And you still go through that. Is all of that worth leaving my kid or, missing the game, missing the play, or just missing that time where they need your ear or they need you to hug? It's a lot of guilt. Does it ever stop? No. Like right now we deal with, my daughter lives in New York and I'm working, so I can't be there all the time, but we're so guilty. Like I just would like to just hang out with her or, have dinner. Always guilt. But where I come away from that guilt is that I know what I do and who I am professionally in my brand, I'm happy. So my balance is they get to see me being authentically me. And there may be some guilt there, but I'm willing to take that guilt for them to see me being authentically myself so they can learn to be authentically who they are.
Yeah, and maybe also learn not to feel guilt, right? That the trade-off has value and that it is a positive deliverable. I think,
Right.
we had an opening speaker at Generation W. Sherry, you might want to pull this up. And it's interesting. I know Erica since she initiated her career. Now she's a global star. And so much of her work is about is traveling. And she was so
Yes.
worried about her kids all the time. And she got up on the stage and she said this: I'm teaching my daughter the best way to live her dream is to show her by living my dream. And I think that's really, really powerful. And living dreams, like every choice we make every day has an impact. It has a consequence. Every day I said, I can spend my time doing this. It will affect my family this way, just as you said, Kimberly. And as long as you feel like they're conscious decisions, you know why you're making them, we have to stand in them.
Right.
And I always thought it was great for my kids too. Although now that they're 26 and can look back and tell me some of the choices I made, they didn't think were so great.
They didn't like them. Yeah.
But you know what? I think they understood it from a 5-year-old lens, a 10-year-old lens, and a 25-year-old lens. We all have to, and that's interesting. We have different lenses as we grow up as well, right?
Right. Right.
I just wanted to thank Paul. He said he's showing up as a mom ally, and I told him I love that. I love that about him. So thank you so very much. Of course, please, if you have any experiences you'd like to share or questions you'd like to ask, the village is here today, right? We love that.
This is the village, Donna. This is the village.
I love the village. I'm going to go back to, hey, Brooke, if I could. You talked about connecting with moms and wanting to show mom coaches that you're here. It's also, I think we need to think about the pipeline for women in businesses in general. I recently spoke at the global conference at Women in Transportation. I'm speaking at Women in Chemicals. I'm speaking at Women in SAP. This idea of all of these women villages telling other women that there is a place for you and we will hold hands with you.
Yes.
It's a really powerful message.
So powerful because, as I said, my pregnancy, I was a single mom. It was unexpected. I hadn't really, my mind and my perspective on being a mom, a working mom, I had no perspective on it. I had no, way to grasp it. And I really hadn't considered it. And so just opening my eyes to the fact that, hey, this is something that people really grapple with, obviously, but have no idea how to grasp it, how to understand it, because they don't know what questions to ask. And like me, they didn't even know that a lot of times we don't see it modeled, because in corporate America, you don't see the kids there. Or when you're in a bubble of your own institution and you don't really see kids going to work with other moms when they come to practice. I just see people coaching games and the kids aren't there either, so that is a big thing. When we can see it represented, as we all know, we see it modeled, we see it represented, then we can understand, yes, I can do it. I can do my career, I can be a mother, it's possible. When we don't see it, we don't know, then we think, oh, I've got to choose, so I love just getting the message out there.
What a great, what a
Right.
great point on that. And it's funny. Thank you, Lori. The Florida Commission on the Status of Women. Thank you. Is sending us greetings. But you know what, Lori, maybe this is something we should take on. I read this book recently. It was fascinating. And I talked about this when I went and visited with the women in transportation, which is we always have to think of our lives about work versus family versus wouldn't life be wonderful if it was work and family,
Yeah.
right? Not giving up our commitment to work, to excellence, to productivity, all of those things. But knowing that a piece of us is always with our family, how do we make them work? And I just read this great book, and in the country of Israel, a country that actually has a positive birth rate because women who are very much a part of their society don't feel it's versus, they feel it's an and. And when you feel the safety of an and, your life feels more productive. And that's not how our business world has actually been set up. And that might be something we really should be taking a harder look at. Maybe the village could, get a little active around. I'm not usually an activist around these things, but I really feel that the health of our families, the health of our women is directly related to the health of our companies and our societies. Right?
Donna,
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree. Oh, sorry, Katrina, go ahead.
If it's fine, I just wanted to ask a question as a mother. So looking forward to my kids being out of the house. All of 4 of them are now still here. But this question is for Kimberly. Now that your kids are out of the house, how do you get back to who Kimberly Morrison is? And how do you now say, okay, I'm not the hands-on mom anymore, but I am a woman now in the world. How do you get back to your true self and what you want to do?
Wow. That's a great question. I'm not sure I ever let go of who I was. Um,
Ah,
I'm not, I don't think I ever let go of that, which was a struggle, but I didn't. And it's mainly because I had a strong mother who never let go of who she was. So I had a model for what that looked like. I had a model for, you're a mom, you do this. My mother was a school teacher, but she was always this version of herself. She was very, astute, great educator, but she was that in all of her aspects of her life. And Patrina, you could probably attest to this. I'm really the same person regardless if I'm at home or if I'm at work or if I'm dealing with my kids. I'm very nurturing but tough. I'm very, giving and accommodating, but at the same token, I'm really, focused and, astute at what I'm doing. The one thing that I can say I've done that I didn't do before is take time to write that book. And I have 3 other ones that are coming out. Now, that's one thing that I didn't take time to do because my focus was on the kids and my family. But I literally had time to say, close myself off in a room and write, which is a very selfish thing to do, right? But as far as losing myself and getting back to myself, I always had something that I did, Patrina, that was totally me, right? So I never really lost that. Working in marketing is something I absolutely love, but I've always been in that world. So I tried my damn, I'm almost cussed. I try my doggonest to not lose a piece of who I am throughout this whole journey. Have I grown and changed?
yeah.
Yes, but there's some core of me that's always been in each of these, stages of my life.
Thank you.
That's that. First of all, a fantastic question, a great answer. I just want to acknowledge the amazing Edna Morris who joined us. And I think if everyone could read the chat, she's invited her friend Patience, who's in the USA from Africa, and
Awesome.
working with her husband's urban winery in Orlando, and will be going to school. She's doing whatever it takes to get her husband and 3 bright, beautiful, adorable kids to the USA, which I know is hard. Her mom
Yeah.
and husband are caring for her children. We are texting while listening. Thank you. It takes a village. Well, we just want to say to patients in Orlando, where we spend time, please, we want to put our arms around you in this village. And when after this call, if we can call you, we have some other friends from Africa. Actually, I don't think that she's on the call. She usually always joins us. She's from Guyana. She's from Ghana. And so we would definitely love to be able to connect with you. Sherry, you said you had a question?
I do. And so for Donna and everybody here, I'll start with Donna though. We mentioned generational, different generations, right? And our moms, and we're moms. So I want to ask Donna, because I know your mom and love your mom dearly. What was like a little nugget of wisdom that you have gotten from your mom, and then that you then give to your kids, and then go to
That's so
each
funny.
one?
I'm glad you said little nuggets, because there's no little nuggets in our life. My mother's like huge, big pieces of rocks and stones. But I will leave with this. And in case you wonder here, I don't have a studio audience. I'm actually at an airport lounge. I am heading to the next city on my 5-week tour of whatever's next. Let me just say this. My mom has been a magnificent role model to me in caring about people. And it's interesting. This is the lesson she didn't say you have to do. This is the lesson she lives every day. Like, she'll come over my house, she'll go out in the backyard, there'll be people walking around, and she'll grab somebody and bring them. Like, Mom, who is this person? A really nice person. I thought we should spend time talking to him. Okay. But that's consistent. So she teaches me that. And she always says this. And whenever people ask me this question, she always says, if you don't ask, you don't get. And she's right. How you ask matters. Yes, without a doubt. But when you sit here and say, why don't I have, or why can't I do, or whatever, you know what? Put on your big girl pants, have a little bit of courage, and ask the questions. And so, Mom, I love you for that. With that, I'm going to leave you to the rest of your questions to keep going. I love this conversation. Love everyone who's joined. But Sherry, Katrina, Brooke, Kimberly, keep it going.
All right. Safe travels.
Safe travels, Donna.
Okay. So how about Brooke? How about you?
Oh, goodness. Well, my mother I'm the oldest of 6. And so, she is, again, like Donna was just saying, she's just a model of someone who, is the ultimate servant leader. She was definitely the leader of our home. And my father was great dad, but, she was running the show at home, but in a way that was obviously about her kids and serving her kids in the best of ways to raise us up the right way. So I've learned so much from her, just in retrospect, looking back at how she handled that. And also now as a grandmother, she's got 13 grandkids, I think, maybe 14. I've lost track. And just the way she continues to, be about her family, put her family first in the care of and the rearing of her children. So definitely reflect on so many things, that the way she took care of us, the way she treated us, and still is today.
And Kimberly, how about you?
Yeah, so my mother is no longer with us, but leaves a lot. She was this really beautiful, always well put together woman, who had, a lot of tough knocks in her life. She lost her mother when she was a teenager and had to raise my aunt. So it left her to be an adult really early. But one of the things the question was, what did she leave me? I'm reading now one of the sayings that I always go back to that she said, and she wrote down often. She said, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. So what I learned from that is just be who you are. And that's why I've always worked, because of her, I've always worked to have that piece of myself that was pretty authentic, because she's like, be who you are. Anybody who cares, enough will love whatever that is. But those who don't love it or don't like it or criticize it, they don't matter anyway. Not in the world, in the large scheme of loving people, but she's saying as far as you moving your life along, kind of get over who they are and move on with your life. So no, she was pretty phenomenal.
And I'm sure you impart that to your children as well. And that's the beauty of the multiple generations, is we
Absolutely.
little bits and pieces, we make them our own and we pass them on. So
Yeah,
That's
and they had great relationships with her before her passing.
Mhm.
So they take away their own, love and knowing of her. So that's cool.
Yep. And Patrina, how about you?
Well, so my grandmother raised me, and so she just basically was a very strong woman. She brought a lot of people to our home to help give them a better life and a better environment. So I always try to just reach back, and if there's someone that I can help, that's what I try to do, because that's what I saw her do that for so many people, and they were able to springboard, jump off that, get better jobs, create better situations for their families. So it's one of the things that she imparted into me.
Great. So, I need to usually I'm typing to Donna, you need to refresh. So now I'm going to refresh. Welcome everybody to Refresh. This is a phenomenal conversation. It's our 92nd Refresh show, which is pretty amazing. I know I've been trying to get Brooke on for years. So finally we hit 92. So one thing, and I'll push it forward to the next question, is one thing that my mom always said was give your kids love and wings. And, it's very easy, catchy phrase, love and wings. You need to love and support, and obviously give the wings to allow them to grow and be independent. So thinking about that, what is, kind of maybe a story that you might have that you can share regarding the love and wings? It could be funny, it could be embarrassing, it could be anything, but something along that theme. So Brooke, how about you start?
Oh gosh, what a question. I can't wait. I really want to hear what Kimberly and Patrina have to say, because I am really just in the last, it feels like a couple of weeks, but maybe it's been a little longer, as my daughter, she is changing. She's 10, and it's really becoming that time where she is pulling away in a way that I'm like, I knew it was coming. And not in huge ways, but I can feel, you just can feel that little pull of, I'm my independent person. Cuddling mommy and giving mommy the biggest hugs and being so excited to see mommy all the time isn't the consistent thing as much anymore. And I'm just holding on to that with all my might. So, but I know, speaking of giving wings, this is the time where I need to begin to let go and not become that that person, that mother, that parent that's clinging with all their might and letting that cloud my vision of what she really needs. And so I'm going through those moments right now, and love to hear some advice.
Good luck.
I'm laughing because I can remember, and I'll share this very honestly. My mother probably went to her grave being upset with me about a decision I made to let Morgan just fly her wings, right? My daughter, very independent thinker. She's smarter than everybody everywhere. She's a neuroscientist. So she's been that kid since she was, so there's a lot she says, and I'm like, yeah, but I still needed to be the mom. One time Morgan came home and she had gotten accepted into National Honor Society, and she was going to the ceremony, where in my Southern mind, I'm thinking, okay, go put on your nice dress, your cute shoes, do your hair, and whatever. Problem was, Morgan, one, didn't tell us the ceremony was happening. So I had no idea until she came home and she was walking back out the door. And I said, well, Morgan, didn't you want your dad and I there? She said, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, fine. Then she was walking out the door with like holy jeans and t-shirt and flip-flops. I said, well, Morgan, Mom, you're taking it too serious. Everything for you is just so serious. It's just not that serious. I said, okay, not that serious. Go. She walked out. She came back home in tears. And the reason she came back home in tears, because everyone had their parents, and all those little girls were in their nice finery. And she looked like a hot mess, and we weren't there. And then everyone was asking, well, where's your mom? I know that. And she had to say, I didn't tell them. My mother was so livid. She was so hot with me for the long. Did you let her go out there? And I said, Mommy, I really needed to let her do that, because I didn't want that. And that happens with Morgan and I now, even as she's an adult. I don't want who I am and who I think she should be become this bone of contention. While that story may seem small, it shows up all the time with she and I. It's like, be you. I'm here to support.
Yep.
If you need a cushion, but for the most part, I try to let them fly and, do their thing.
Yep, the love and the wings aspect. And you know, when you think about it, at every stage it's different, because I'm sure y'all have let your kids go out with 2 socks that didn't match, right?
on.
And you were like, wait a minute, and they're like, oh no, this is fun. And you know what? In the end, all those stories build up. All those stories build up. And Brooke, I'll tell you, one time I was doing a halftime speech, which was very loud, and my daughter's with me. And I said, you're going to hear mommy say things that I normally would not say in a manner that, you know, a coach needs to say. And, you know, I slapped the board, and my daughter was like, oh my God. And she, you know, you can do this, and blah, blah, blah. And so one day she's putting together, literally, she was probably like 3.5, a square peg. I mean, yeah, square peg in a round hole. Like, she was trying to do it. And she says, Mom, can you help me? And I looked at it and I said, oh, you know, this won't work. You can't do it. And she looked at me and she put her hands on her hip and she says, Mom, you can do it. You can do anything. Never say the word can't. And I'm thinking, oh my God, she's listening. Right.
Yeah.
So Katrina, you may have some of those stories. And then when we're going to we're getting close to the end, and we have graphics of 3 takeaways. So listeners, do not go away, because you got some amazing takeaways from these amazing women.
Sure. So as a volleyball coach, you know, my kids, they'll hear me, but what's interesting is, like, my 16-year-old is now coaching the 9 and 6-year-old, and she's very rough. She's very tough on them. So I'm like, hey, calm down. She's 6. But she's like, no, they need to learn now. So I'm like, okay, I need to maybe be a softer coach. But I have another question for Brooke if we have time. And just, it's as a coach and a mom who has to watch their kids. I watch my kids, they play volleyball. How do we let them face the challenges and the adversity without jumping in and trying to solve it for them? And how does that affect their decisions later in life?
Yeah. Oh, such a good question. And my daughter has a passion for basketball and for playing. And as you're probably experiencing, you know, and she's quote unquote good. She's doing well. And so it is a constant battle for me to, you know, let go and not try to solve everything and not try to tell her everything to do and how to be better. And so what I've you know, continue to refer back to is my own experience, you know, coming up and playing basketball, which is just, my parents were not involved. And when they tried to get involved, I absolutely hated it. So I try to channel those feelings again of just allowing other trusted people, again, the village, to you know, coach her, you know, teach her those things and allow her to make those mistakes. Also knowing that I'm on this side of it with college kids who I've seen parents, the influence of parents, for better and for worse, and how that affects them, and trying to relate those things, my own experience, seeing others, where I know she wants to be, my daughter, and trying to remind myself, and my husband will remind me too, if I go too far, he's right there to tell me to back off and to shut up. So that helps.
Well, you know, it is fascinating. And as a coach, Brooke, I had them in the high school age. You know, I used to say there's 6 words that parents need to say to their kids, no matter what they do. So everybody out there, you know, listen, I love to watch you play. I love to watch you sing. I love to watch you perform. I love to watch you get an A in neuroscience. Because we are the parents. And again, I go back to loving wings. We're not their coach. So it's a big difference. So we do have a question. Kimberly, I'll throw this to you. Paul, well, and at the end he says, be gentle. I don't know if you saw this. What is the best example of support that significant others, especially men, who are partners to working mothers, in regards to how we can be better allies?
Wow. Ask. That's deep, because, you know, my husband and I have been married for a very long time. We've been together so long that both of our hairs are gray. So that's how long we've been together. Paul, just ask and ask again. A lot of times, I can say from my own husband, he doesn't maybe ask, how are you feeling? What do you need? You know, don't assume that you guys have been together and you kind of have a rhythm. Women change all the time. While yesterday it might have been get me a bowl of Apple Jacks. The next day it might be I need a diamond ring. The next day it might be I just need you to sit and listen, right? It just changes so much because our lives change so much. So just ask, and don't ask like you're quizzing her. Just, hey, babe, what do you need today? What will make you happy today?
Do we ever lose the diamond ring face?
Heck no.
Okay.
No. You never lose the diamond ring and the flowers.
That always would work, but
That works all the time. But don't just do just that. Just talk to her and just ask, and she'll be grateful that you asked. And then, what is her favorite chore? What's the chore she hates to do, right? Like if she hates to take out the garbage, this is gonna get you. You owe me something, Paul. What doesn't she like? If she doesn't like taking out the garbage, or she always cleans the bathroom, whatever that is, just pop up one day and do it. Listen, you owe me something.
there you go. There you go. We could have a show on spouses too, which would be fun. So I'm going to share Brooks. We'll start with Brooks' 3 takeaways. And if Brooke if you would just go through these, just briefly and kind of, share us all your 3 takeaways on the insights and joys and challenges.
Well, yeah, I think these will resonate with everyone that it just is a mom, but these are things that I tell myself. This too shall pass. And as I'm going through the phases, and just like Kimberly spoke about, that in the good times and the bad times, like being able to just be in the moment and enjoy those amazing times with our kids, but also knowing that when it's hard, like they'll move through this phase and this will pass. So that's one of the things I hold on to. The other thing too, we talk a lot about in Moms in Coaching is, you have to find what works for you, that elusive work-life balance. What works for me is that, yes, I can be a great coach. I can be a great mom. I'm really not good at doing those in the moment together. And so I really try to, as best as I can, it doesn't always work. Like I can do it all, but right now I'm working, and I am going to focus everything on what I'm doing right now for my job. And then when I'm with my daughter, again, this doesn't always happen as cleanly, but when I'm with her, I try to be there with her, and not trying to be a coach at the same time. And when she needs me as a mom. So yes, we can do it all, but doing it all in the moment, humans are really bad multitaskers, even though we have to do it at times. And then I just love to think about this. And again, going back to our Moms in Coaching group, when I'm struggling, when I feel like I'm just keeping my head above water, I think of all these women that I've sat in rooms with, that I've talked to, that they're doing this too. We are in this together. Just thinking about that sometimes is what's gotten me through moments like this, when we're all here talking about these things, knowing that there are other moms out there fighting the same fight, doing the thing for years before me, for years after me, really helps me just get through and push through.
That's awesome. Thank you. I feel like we're running out of time. We're going to go to Kimberly's, but there's so much we could still talk about. So again, thanking you guys so much. Kimberly, your insights, obviously from a different angle, because Brooke, Avery's 10 and Morgan and Jonathan are, in their late 20s. So different perspectives. Please share.
Very different perspectives, but similar journeys and similar love for our kids. My first insight was that moms are the first example of how to do life, right or wrong. We're that first example that they look at on how to, like my son and my daughter say, life be lifing. And, I show them through me how to do that. And then second, motherhood is a 24/7, 7 days a week gift to me. It's a gift of experiences and just a gift of love. And that's how I have learned to look at it. And then motherhood brings a lifetime of love. My husband, on one hand, he's so ready for the kids to have like children. I'm not so ready for that at all. I want them to live their lives first. But again, I just look at this as a lifetime journey for me, and I'm loving it, every minute of it.
Thank you. And I would say amen to that, right? Here's to the lifetime journey. So I want to thank you Brooke and Kimberly, Patrina as well. We're going to get to our final couple of graphics. Again, I feel like we could have a part 2. So, maybe we'll need to, because there's just so much information, insights, and it's been so engaging. So I thank you. For all of everybody else, our next refresh will be on May 29th at noon. She means business, and we are going to talk with 4 amazing entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. Brianna Vereen, Felicia Wright, Shelley Steele, and Kia Scott, who had the opportunity to be chosen to appear at Generation W, where they had a booth with their companies. And it's really very exciting. You'll hear their challenges, you'll hear their inspiration, their resiliency, and their motivation. So that's really exciting. That will be on May 29th. And Patrina, you were going to mention our ways to follow us.
Yes, sure. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, and LinkedIn. You can see the icons below and all of our handles. So make sure you connect with us and be a part of this community.
So thank you again, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on May 29th. I hope, Brooke, best of luck recruiting and being on the road. And it sounds like Avery is going to be an amazing coach someday if that's what she chooses. And wait, we didn't say Kimberly is also a Florida State U grad, right? There you
Yeah.
go.
I'm coming to some games, Brooke.
I love it.
I would love to as
Kimberly.
well, just so you know.
Awesome.
Soon. Okay. All right. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.